Okay, so your GMO greetings. Yeda say we thank you for joining in with us once again. I'm Odwirafo Kwesi Ranehmbata Akan. Odwirafo of Akwamumain Amaruka Etifimu, which is the Akwamu nation in North America within Ojiraman, the purified nation, Afurakani, Afurite people, African Black people in the Western Hemisphere. So I want to address one of the publications, one of the books that I've published. Let me show you, for example, first I want to show you the page, the book page, and then we will get into the book itself. On our website, on the Nhoma page on the website, you will see all of the front covers of the 31 books I've published to date. And all of these books you can download for free from our website. So that's the Nhoma page on our website. And when you scroll down, you'll see the various books that we have published. And the book that we are going to focus on tonight is the book REKHIT HENA SPERET. Now, one of the reasons that we decided to put that book forward, and let me just pull up this is for this reason. So we've done a series of lives recently dealing with this notion of susu, which is the ancient term for meditation. And we're teaching a certification course in the practice, not only of susu, of meditation, but also from an Afurite, meaning African culture perspective. Of course, we've been practicing susu or meditation for tens of thousands of years. Before India existed, before Asia existed, our people established the practice of susu, of so-called meditation. So the course susu meditation instructor certification, we have a certification course to certify you in the practice and the teaching of susu. So once you become certified, you can go out and utilize that certification to teach and conduct sessions and get paid for conducting sessions in schools or after-school programs or places of employment when they bring people out at a seminar or workshops to increase productivity at work or enhance learning outcomes, or going into shelters or going into community organizations, a number of different applications for the certification. So it's a 4-week certification course. Once you get certified and have that credential, then you're able to go out and utilize that for self-employment, entrepreneurship, but you're also impacting our community positively at the same time. So as part of that process, we teach, the origins of susu meditation. We talk about the etymological origin of the term, and we also talk about religion and culture and spirituality and so forth, giving a background. One thing that often comes up is when we talk about this notion of religion and spirituality. And some people, they like to say, well, religion is different from spirituality. And in reality, that's not true at all. Religion and spirituality is identical. It is fake religion, fraudulent religion, pseudo-religion, which is not congruous with spirituality. So it's the whites in Narrow Spring who put forward fake fraudulent religion and fictional fraudulent characters like Jesus, and which is also Yeshua and Muhammad and Abraham, Isaac, Ishmael, Solomon, Sheba, Menelik, Moses, Allah, Yahweh, Buddha, Brahman. These fictional characters they manufactured off of fragments of our ancestral religious practice in ancient Kamit, and then put forth these fake religions, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hebrewism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, and so forth, and tried to, represent or represent these things back to us to force us into a mental slavery. So then they began to say, well, spirituality and religion is different, and we don't practice organized religion. We're into spirituality. totally fraudulent. So we wrote a book to prove that. What is the origin of the term religion? What is the origin of the term spirit? That goes back to our ancient ancestral language of Kamit that predates the existence of the whites and offspring on Earth, let alone their fake religions and pseudo-religious practices. So when we're teaching about Susu, teaching about meditation from a grounded ancestral, cultural, original perspective, we also have to talk about this notion of religion and spirituality. Now, when we teach people and have people become certified as instructors in Susu, they don't go out. And if you would like to take that course, the next course is coming up August 5th. It's a 4-week course that is Mondays, August 5th through August 26th at 8 p.m. online and so forth. When you go out, utilize your certification to teach, and you get paid to teach at different places. You're not teaching people religion. You're not teaching them spirituality. In this context, you're just introducing them to a practice that has tangible, immediate benefits, like lowering anxiety, depression, lowering blood pressure, assisting in weight loss, enhancing learning outcomes, reducing anxiety, enhancing work productivity and so forth. A number of different things that can help people immediately in, wherever they are, whether they're in school, whether they're at work, whether they are, in some situation like a homeless shelter or women's shelter or some human services organization dealing with mental health issues and so forth. This practice of Susu on a basic mundane level can assist them in an immediate and long-term and tangible fashion. So that's what we're dealing with. But the question of religion and spirituality always comes up when people talk about meditation. So first we take that, these false definitions away. We utilize the term Susu, the ancient term for meditation. So it removes all the false information they get from hearing the word meditation. It removes that. So they have the term Susu to focus on. We give a proper definition, but we also need to understand what is religion, what is spirituality, where does it come from? And we have a grounded perspective in that as well, a true perspective with that as well. So that's why we want to address this book tonight. Now, we published this book a number of years ago. And once again, and we've done some, different lives and broadcasts and even certain courses where we incorporated an analysis of certain aspects of the book. But it's time to bring this information back up, bring it back to the fore, and go into some detail so people have a proper understanding. Now, as you can see, the title, REKHIT HENA SPERET, Etymology and Cosmology of Religion and Spirit. And we say ancestral religion is spirituality. Now, and once again, all of the 31 books that I've published to date, when you go to the page, you can download all of the ebooks for free. We've always sold the soft cover versions. We're switching those over to PayPal or Amazon. So up to this point, we were doing it, in-house. We were printing them ourselves on our own printers and so forth and shipping them. We're switching the books over to Amazon. That should be complete, this summer and so forth. And then you can order the soft cover versions from Amazon, but the ebook versions are free downloads. So including this book. So, as we said, religion and spirituality are identical. It is pseudo-religion, which is incongruent with spirituality. So let us get into the first aspect of this. And we're going to show why these images are important. Now, we say the term religion is directly derived from our ancestral language of Kamit and Kamit, Nubia and Egypt. It is descriptive of the ritual means by which we reconnect, realign ourselves in every thought, intention, and action with the Separ, the order of Amenet and Amen, which is the great mother and great father, supreme being. And all over Africa, all over Africa, wherever Black people exist in the world, You've always recognized that there's a great mother who is called in ancient Kamit Aminet, and the great father is Amen, and they work together as two halves of the divine whole, the supreme being. And just so you can see an image of them, let's just pull this up right quick. For those who haven't seen this previously, we have this image in a number of our, different publications and web pages, just so you can have an image of that. But this particular relief is from the temple of Apet Reset, so-called Luxor in ancient Kemet, misnomer Egypt. And what you have here is the great father divinity Amen, sometimes called Amen Ra. And then you have the great mother Amenet, sometimes called Amenet Ra'et. But as we'll see, Ra and Ra'et, the creator and creatress, are grandchildren of the supreme being, but this is the supreme being. In the iconography, all Afro-Akani people have a name for them in their languages. The Yoruba people in Nigeria, for example, call the great divinity Amen. They call him Olorun in the Yoruba language. They call the great mother Olokun. In the Akan language of Ghana and Ivory Coast, the great father Amen is called Nyame, and Amen is rooted in that, Nyame, and the great mother is Nyamewa. So across the continent, we always understand the great father, great mother are two halves of the great divine whole, which is the supreme being. So let's switch back to the document. So religion is the ritual means by which we reconnect, realign ourselves in every thought, intention, and action with the Sekher, the order of Amenet and Amen, the great mother, great father, supreme being. So we give some more detailed information about what religion is. It animates ancestral culture. It's the ritual incorporation of divine law, the ritual restoration of divine balance. But let's get into the etymology and the cosmology. Where do these terms come from? Now, from the Runu Pert Imheru, the so-called Book of Coming Forth by Day, misnomer Book of the Dead. This particular segment is from the Papyrus of Ani, and it says, when the scribe Ani Ma'akeru arrives at the seventh Arit, he says, I've come to you, all Sar, purified of disordered emanations. You encircle the heavens, you see Ra, you see the Rekitu, unique one, you from the Sektet boat, the boat of Ra, as he encircles the horizon in the heavens. So this, in the Medut Ntoro, the so-called hieroglyphs with the Medut Ntoro, the divine symbols and so forth, this spells out Rekitu. And what does that mean? Rek and Rekit. The term Rekit, which we're going to see is the root of religion and so forth, in our ancestral language is multi-layered. The root Rek means knowledge. Rek and Rekit are the male and female designations for one who is wise, knowledgeable, skillful. The Ntorot, goddess Aset, misnomer Isis. She carries that title, Rekit, the divine wise one, focuses on her, function as a divine healeress. There's a class of Afro-Akani people in Kemet who are called Rekit, singular, and Rekitu, plural. So, Rek means to be wise, to know, to be acquainted with, to be skilled, and so forth. Rekit, knowledge, learning. Rek, science, knowledge. Rek, the god of knowledge in the Duat, the spirit realm. Rekit, knowledge personified as the female divinity. So you see the seated, shrouded male divinity determinative with the beard and so forth, Rek. And then Rekid or Reket is the feminine. And that title, Rekid or Reket, is a title of Aset Sapatit, which the whites and offspring call Isis Sothis. But in her title is Aset Rekit or Reket. That means she is Aset, the wise one. It designates her as a divine, wise queen, dealing with healing and so forth. Now, then you have a class of individuals in the society in ancient Kamit, in our ancestral culture and civilization, who are the REKHIT people, or REKHITU. And it says men and women, mankind, rational beings, and so forth. So, next phase. REKHITU, that's plural, exists as a group within the Afro-Akanite African population and retain this status upon transition to the ancestral realm after death. That's why we read that text from ancient Kemet. So if you are part of that class of society, you're one of the REKHIT people, you're REKHITU, you're part of that group, you're a REKHIT on earth. When you transition, you're still a REKHIT when you become an ancestral spirit. Just like if someone is an honored elder, when they transition, they grew into the status of an elder who was honorable and wise and venerable and so forth. For example, in our Akan tradition, that kind of person is called Nana. Nana is a title. It means grandmother, grandfather in general. But as an office in society, Nana means an honorable, venerable elder or elderess. So you don't get that title Nana attached to your name unless you lived up to that. When someone transitions and they become an ancestral spirit, they still have the title Nana, but instead of an honorable, venerable elder or elderess, they become an honorable or venerable ancestor or ancestress, as opposed to just a regular elder or elderess, older person, or regular ancestor or ancestress. So the same is true with regard to that title, REKHIT. You have that title on earth because of your function. You maintain that title even when you transition and become an ancestral spirit. You still have that function in the spirit realm. When people pour libation to you and communicate with you and so forth. So now we talk about the deceased individual who identifies and comes before Asar, the divinity, who's the sovereign of the ancestral realm, and notes that by virtue of purification, Asar has taken up his position with Ra in the Sektet boat. That was the text we just read. Now, here's the image that we have on the front cover of the book, this portion of this one. So you have the lapwing bird right here, and you see the two arms and hands going up in the ritual provocation, ritual movement and so forth. So the two arms and hands emerging from the bird. You also have another version of REKHIT, where it's the body of the person, two arms and hands doing the ritual provocation, ritual prayer movement, but the wings are emerging from the back of the person. So the person with wings, or a bird with the, arms and hands of a human being. Or you have here the body of a person in the ritual provocation, stature, but also the head of the REKHIT bird, or the so-called lapwing bird. Now, if you want to get an image of where you saw the lapwing bird just now. This is the lapwing bird, the sacred animal totem. And we used a lapwing bird for this, for the flyer for this particular show. So you can see this is the sacred animal totem that carries the energy of REKHIT, and this is why it is utilized for that symbolism. So when you see that particular bird and you see that bird's head on the body of the human being, or you see the bird itself with two arms of the human being in the ritual prayer, ritual provocation posture, or you see the person with the wings and so forth, the symbolism is showing the nature of that REKHIT function with regard to a human being. And we'll show how REKHIT is directly the origin of Lechit or Re-Lechit or religion and so forth. Now, the divine sacred bird denotes the capacity of our spirits to fly between the physical world and the spirit realm. The upraised hands not only denote worship but ritual provocation, which is a projection of energy from the individual to the spirits of the ancestresses and ancestors, or the spirit of a divinity. And once you project your energy in that capacity, then it provokes the divinity or the ancestral spirit to release or dispense their energy to the individual, so you can absorb that. So it's a ritual provocation and so forth. And you'll see that throughout ancient Kamit. Now, so we showed that the REKHIT is actually a spirit medium. As a spirit medium, just like in English, you'll say a spirit medium. Somebody who can communicate with an ancestral spirit or a deity, one of the Odumafo or Abosom, as we say in Akan, a spirit medium. Instead of saying the word spirit medium, in ancient Kamit we said REKHIT or REKHET. That's what we would say. Now, the REKHIT provokes the energy and consciousness of the divinities, Ntoru, Ntorutu, and the Akuakutu, the ancestresses and ancestors who are spiritually cultivated, by entering into communion with them. That communion facilitates spirit possession, and we've been engaged in spirit possession for thousands of years wherever we exist in the world. The REKHIT thus becomes a human divinatory instrument utilized by the Ntoru, the divinities, and the Aku, the ancestral spirits who are cultivated for the healing and empowering of the Afurakainit community. Their capacity to heal not only facilitates realignment of the individual from the disalignment of disease, it also motivates us to rediscover our own capacity to heal and empower ourselves and our families through realignment. And let me show you quickly just an image, or not even just an image, but a short clip from our film that we released on the Hoodoo tradition in North America. And there's a section on the spirit mediums or priests and priestesses in the Akan tradition on the continent of Afuraka, and as well in North America. So first and foremost, this is the film, and we released this film in October. You have free access to the film on our website. So this is the Hoodoo film, and you can watch that at any time. That's our second documentary film, but there's a section that we deal with, and we show that Hoodoo is Akan Ancestral Religion in North America, but there's a section where we deal with the spirit mediums. So let me pull that section up real quick. And in Akan culture, the medium is called Okomfo. A priestess dancing around in a circle. They have powder on their bodies. They spin around as the drums are playing and explode into a possession state. That is the Okomfo or Okomfoa. That term Okomfoa, one of the. So you see there that the individual was possessed. They place the white shidel or powder on the body to show that the spirit has entered the body of the individual. Spirit possession is happening. And then so he's a spirit medium. It's the same thing. A woman priestess, the same group of people flow who engages the comb state. The comb state. So it's called the comb state. Or turn aside. We often use the analogy of a person driving a vehicle. If you're driving your vehicle, you are behind the wheel. You are in complete control of the vessel. However, if you stop and allow a friend to get in the vehicle, when they bring wisdom and so forth, when it's time for the spirit to leave, they leave the body. And we want to show an image back control of your body, just like someone leaving your car. You get back in front of the driver's wheel, and you are in control of the vessel. So we also show an image from the Hoodoo tradition in North America, and that is coming up. Let me see. To turn aside. When we look in the language of ancient Kamit and Kamit, look at the Medutu, the hieroglyphs, you'll find that the term calm. Hold on 1 second. To bend, to bow, to turn aside. Calm also means to seize, to possess. And we also have the term Ka, when they bring wisdom and get inside of your vessel, then you turn aside. Calm. Let me show you. I just want you to see that representation in North America. So that's Akom, spirit possession in North America. Spirit coming down on the person, getting possessed and so forth. We continued that practice unbroken, nonstop, even in the Western Hemisphere. So those are spirit mediums. Colors or powders are used, whether it's charcoal powder, kaolin powder. And this is another spirit medium in the Hoodoo tradition, so-called Gofa doctor and so forth. Of powders that are used for mineral life. So the Komfua. Okay. So we just wanted to show that, this notion of a spirit medium, we've always had that. We've had that in ancient Kamit. We have it in West Africa, West Africa, continued in the Hoodoo tradition in North America and so forth. The spirit medium, that's always been part of our practice wherever Afrikani people go in the world. Now, that is the REKHIT, and so forth. Now, the key linguistic piece with regard to this and the origin of the term religion, the R and L in linguistics interchange linguistically in various languages. So if you study linguistics or get any language book and so forth, they will tell you that the R, the rolling R, and the L interchange depending on the dialect, even within different languages. So for example, if you said K-A-R-A, ka, ra, kara, kara, the tongue tapping the roof of the mouth once, kara, or ka-ra becomes kara, kara, kara. And if you say K-A-L-A, the L is still the tongue tapping the roof of the mouth once. So if you say K-A-L-A, ka-la, and you say it at regular conversation speed, kala, 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 and then you say K-A-R-A, kara, kara, and kala, 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 K-A-L-A, kara, K-A-R-A, R and L interchange linguistically. Any linguistic book will show that. So we say the L and R are interchangeable. This is evidence in the language of Kamit. In the language of Kamit, there is no letter L. The Medut, the hieroglyph used to translate foreign words which contain the letter L, was the symbol for the R. So here's the symbol for the R, the open mouth. When you open your mouth, that's the symbol, the R sound. And then the other symbol or medut for the letter R is the lion, the couchant lion laying on his stomach. The lion makes the R or the roaring sound. So R, R is represented by the animal that makes the R sound, which is the lion. Or when you say your mouth is open like this in this same symbol here. So that is the symbol for the R sound or the R sound. So, but when foreign words are spelled with the Medutu, with the hieroglyphic, script, if the foreign word or name has a letter L in it, they have to use the R symbol to translate because there is no letter L in Kamit. So Ptolemy or Cleopatra and so forth, when the Greeks invaded Kamit, when they spelled their names with the script, they had used the symbol for the letter R. So instead of Ptolemy, we would write it with the R. Ptaremi. So Ptaremi with an R or Ptolemy with an L, same thing. In the Akan language, there's no letter L in the Akan language of Ghana and Ivory Coast. So when there are foreign words an Akan person tries to, repeat, if you look in an Akan dictionary, the term mulatto with an L, the Akan person spells it with an R and they say murato, muratoni instead of mulatto, they say murato because there is no letter L in the Akan language, just like there is no letter L in the ancient Kameti language. And of course, Akan language is directly descendant. So that's important. And the reason why it's important is because of the term religion itself. So when you look at the term rek, or reku, and reket, you'll find the same term in the Yoruba language of Southwest Nigeria. The people who get possessed by the spirits of the Orisha and Egungun, the deities and ancestral spirits, Elegun. So if you say this person right here is an Elegun, that means they're one who gets possessed by the spirits. They are a horse. They're a medium that gets possessed by the spirits. Elegun, the L interchanges. In Yoruba, there is a letter L. There's the L sound in the Yoruba language. So, Elegun is the term. If you translated Elegun into the language of ancient Kamit, the letter L would have to be replaced by the symbol for the R. So instead of Elegun, when it's written in the language for Kamit, the symbols would spell out the E, rolling R, E, and so forth. So it will be Eregun, Ereku. So in Yoruba, it's Elegun, the spirit medium. In ancient Kamit, it's the Ereku, the spirit medium. And of course, Ereku is the Reku or the REKHIT and so forth in ancient Kamit, the spirit medium. Same word, same language, and so forth. Then we go into some details showing that Adetchere, and Akan is the same term. And we're going talking about, to show or to teach and so forth. And Adetche, we go into a great deal of linguistic information to prove that Adetche is Areche, Rechet in ancient Kamit. Now, so the key point is the R and the L interchange. So we don't have to go through the entire piece on the Akan tradition. We just wanted to show that. We go into some more linguistic information. But rek, the symbol for the R, and the CF, the K sound, rek, to be wise, to know, and so forth. REKHIT, rek, reku, reka, reku, rek, REKHIT, all these definitions in wisdom, understanding, and so forth. And then the class of people, class of human beings in the spirit realm, the duat, class of human beings on earth, all of that. And then the noun version, reket, ket, the sage or a learned man, and so forth. Rek having to do with a list, catalog, statement, summary. So even on a inanimate plane, that which deals with knowledge, wisdom, understanding, is reket, something that's a list, a catalog, an account, summary, reports, something that has a detailed account statement, something that has to do with knowledge. Knowledge that's written down as a catalog, receipt, accounts, and so forth. Now, when you have that understanding, now we can get into the term religion. That's the cosmological foundation for religion, the ritual incorporation, binding together of divine law, and the ritual restoration of divine balance. So when someone gets possessed by a spirit, the spirit gets in the body of the person, operates through the body of the person, and binds itself to the person, and then speaks through the body of the person to the community. Now, what do they say is the origin of the term religion? Etymological origin. They talk about a state of life bound by monastic vows and all of that. According to Cicero, derived from legere, to go through again, from which means again, like redo or rewrite and so forth, back or again, and legere, read. And it says see lecture. However, popular etymology among the later ancients and the interpretation of many modern writers connects it with relegare, to bind fast, see rely, via notion of place and obligation line. So you look at they said see lecture, the legere Legere, talking about religion. To read, originally to gather, collect, pick out. From the Proto-Indo-European root leg, to pick together, gather, collect. Leg. And then when they said look at rely, relegare, to fasten, bind fast, from re, and then ligare, to bind, ligament, sense of depend and trust, something that binds. And when you look at ligament, it's from the Proto-Indo-European root leg, to bind. And then, of course, re means back or again, and so forth. So when they talk about the Proto-Indo-European root, they talk about the parent of all the Proto-Indo-European languages and so forth. That goes back a few thousand years. But of course, our languages predate that. And when they say something has a Proto-Indo-European root going back thousands of years, they stole that from our ancestral language that existed before the White Narrow Spring existed on Earth. So when you look in a Medut Ntoro or a hieroglyphic dictionary, when someone says that, the root of the term leg is a Proto-Indo-European root and it goes back 6,000 years and so forth, you'll find that same term in a hieroglyphic dictionary that predates the Proto-Indo-European language family. So those roots that are called Proto-Indo-European really come from our culture. And we prove that here. So re is defined as back and again and derived from meaning to turn and so forth. Rir, to turn round, to go round. And you see the two legs and feet walking in this fashion. Cosmologically, it's talking about when the sun rises in the east and sets in the west and then comes all the way back around and returns to the east and so forth. Rir in ancient Kamit means to turn around or go back around. When re means to go back around or to turn and so forth, to redo, to rewrite, to relearn and so forth. That re is stolen from rir in ancient Kamit, and we have the cosmological foundation for rir, meaning to go back around. The whites and offspring just know that re, r, and e, re, means to go back around. They can't tell you why. They can't tell you, well, why doesn't ta mean to go back around? Why doesn't su mean to go back around? Why does it have to be the rust sound and the e sound? Why does re, those sounds together, that sound combination means to go back and around? They can't tell you why because they stole it from our language. But we have the cosmological foundation of Ra operating through the sun, rising in the east, setting in the west, and going back around through the underworld and getting back to the east. Reared with the two legs moving, going back around. So that's the first part of the term that they stole from our language and culture. They have the sounds, but they don't have the cosmology that undergird the sounds. And if you look here, they'll say a word forming element meaning back to the original place. Again, anew, once more. Again, back, anew, against. And then it says often merely intensive. And in many of the older borrowings from French and Latin, the precise sense of re is lost in secondary senses or weakened beyond recognition. And we say, of course, it's not lost. They stole the term from our ancestral language and then packaged it as Proto-Indo-European, but they stole the term. So that's the first part, re. Now the next part. REKHIT, list, catalog, statement, summary, account, report, contents of a document, a detailed statement and account. REKHIT, also REKHIT, and then to be wise, to know, to be acquainted with, and so forth. A list, catalog, and so forth definition of rek in the Proto-Indo-European language family. And once that term lek, meaning to tie or to bind, lek in Proto-Indo-European will be written rek in ancient Kamit because the R and L interchange. So rek, the root of rekhit, rekut, rechit, and so forth, The Europeans said lek, and we said rek. Rek and lek is the same term. They vocalize it as lek, we vocalize it as rek, and so forth. And of course, ours is the older term. A list, catalog, statement, summary, account, report as a definition of rek, which is a lek or leg or lig, references the capacity to pull together the contents of a document and gain meaning from them. This leads to knowledge to be skill. It is a binding together of disparate elements in a harmonious fashion to transmit wisdom. So you have a number of different words on a page. You know each definition of each word, and then you bind them together to get meaning out of that sentence. If you were, working on a car and you took apart all the different components of the engine and laid them out, you say, this is this component, this is another component. You can define each component, but they only make sense if they're all pulled together and work together harmoniously. You can define them individually, but then when they work together and fuse together and interlink, then you derive meaning from that. Each word, you can define each word, but you have to put the words together in a sentence to derive meaning from that. You pick them out, you collect them, you gather them together and derive meaning. You bind them together and derive meaning. So this is what REK is talking about. REK in the context of list, catalog, statement, summary, account. The summary is pulling them all together, report, detailed statement and account, and then REK to be wise, to know, to be acquainted with, and all of that. That also has to do with divination, pulling together, and so forth. We're also talking about pulling together, binding the spirits of the deities with the individual, spirit possession, and gaining divine knowledge from the spirit realm. Once the spirit binds itself to the body of the individual, they're possessed. The spirit is inside the body, operating through the individual, speaking through the individual, and bringing that divine wisdom to the community. So that is a binding, that's a fusing together. Now, that is the REK process. So if we go back, lecture, the root leg, to pick together, gather, collect, to say, tell, speak, declare, and so forth, to pick out, select, collect, enumerate. That's elect. And also leger, leg, to bind, to gather, assemble, and fasten, bind, and so forth. Ligament, leg, to bind. Then you go back up to the original definition, and they'll say religion, from religio, legere, to read. Popular etymology says relegare, to bind, fast, and so forth. A bond between humans and gods, and so forth. So, as you can see, when you back or again, lig, re-lig, or rebind, or refast, fasten, and so forth, when you get something and you rebind it, you pick out the different things, understand the meanings, and bind them all together to re-lig, to re-lek, to re-lek, re-rek, and so forth. Ligio, riccio, recchio, that comes directly from not only the term and its sound, religion, to re-lig or to rebind. Back or again, to turn back around, that's stolen from Rir and ancient Kamit, to go back around. Lig or lek, to gather, collect, pull together, gain some meaning, to bind things together to gain some meaning. Lek, and we show that Rek is the spirit medium, the one that binds together the spirit and the body to gain divine wisdom, to pull together a summary of accounts, of detailed accounts, and so forth, to gain some meaning, and so forth. Rek is lek. That's the root of lekiu, rekiu, religio, and so forth. They stole the term lek from rek. They stole the term from rir in ancient Kamit. They knew it meant to rebind or refasten. They knew it had something to do with spirituality and communicating with the spirits and so forth, but they didn't know the undergirding cosmology. So they just said religion comes from religio, coming from to relig or relect, to rebind or refasten. It must mean having something to do with fastening or binding yourself to the deity. We've been doing this for thousands of years. We have a whole class of people called the Lecchio, Recchio, and so forth, who bind themselves to the deities through spirit possession. They had no knowledge of that. So when they said religio, they didn't know they were saying riccio or recchio, the spirit mediums. In our ancient text, you saw, and let's go back to that ancient text to prove it once again. After the person transitions, it says, when the scribe Anima Akaru arrives at the seventh Arit, he says, I have come to you, deity Alsar, purified of disordered emanations. You encircle the heavens. You see Ra, the creator of the universe. You see the Rekitu, unique one, you from the Sektet boat, the boat of Ra, as he encircles the horizon in the heavens. He's talking about when he, as a spirit, as an ancestral spirit, he's purified and so forth. He's about to go to the ancestral community, those who've gone past, before him. He's going to go reconnect with his great-great-grandmothers and grandfathers in the ancestral community. First, he connects with the divinities and so forth, with Alsar, who rules the ancestral realm and the creator of the universe, Ra. And in that process, he sees the Rekhit people, the Rekhitu and so forth. That is a sacred class of ancestresses and ancestors, just like the Rekhitu on earth are a defined class of spirit mediums who become bound, Rek, by the spirits, Lek, and rebound, Relek, Relig, Religio, Recchio, and so forth. They stole the term, but they don't understand the cosmology. So when you read the book, again, you can download it for free, and you get all these details, you'll be able to properly contextualize everything that you're reading. And ours is the first book to prove that religion or religio or relek or relig is stolen directly from the language of ancient Kamit. And we detail that. Prior to this book being published, Europeans had no understanding of where the term religion came from. They just knew the sounds and the general meaning. Now, the term spirit. And of course, if you have any questions, you can post them in the chat room. Hold on one second. Okay, so now we get into the term spirit. Of course, the root of the term spirituality. And we have another text from ancient Kamit, another quote from the Shatan Duat, the book of what is in the spirit realm, the underworld, and so forth. And in fact, before we get into that, let me pull up this. Show you a direct image of what we were referencing just a minute ago. Okay, so this is one of the other books I published, Afuraidka, The Origin of the Term Africa. And we're showing, of course, that the word Africa comes from Afuraka, the land of the creator, land of the creatress. But we're talking about the divinity Ra, as you see him sitting in his solar boat, and this is the solar disk. The Aten, the solar disk. So when the sun rises in the east, they'll show Ra in the form of a falcon-headed human being and so forth, but a divinity has a solar disk on his head, as you can see. The sacred animal totem of the falcon is a sacred animal totem for Ra, so sometimes he's shown in the form of a full falcon. sometimes the body of the male and the head of the falcon and so forth, with the solar disk on its head. So when the sun rises in the east and goes across, the sky and sets in the west, is shown symbolically as a boat with a solar disk sailing across the blue sky, the moisture is in the sky and so forth. So the boat of the sun, the Aten, sailing across the sky and setting in the west. And then when the sun goes down into the western, horizon and disappears and goes in the underworld, they'll say the sun sailed through the sky for the 12 hours of the night, then sails in the underworld boat, the Sektet boat, for the 12 hours of the day, and then sails in the underworld for the 12 hours of the night. When Ra is sailing through his boat in the day, he has the form of a falcon. When he sails in his boat at night, he takes the form of a body of a male and the head of a flat-horned ram divinity with the solar disk on his crown and so forth. The ram is a land animal. The falcon is an aerial animal, so it's flying through the sky, the sun flying across the sky for 12 hours of the day. Then going into the underworld, he takes the form of a body of a male, flat-horned ram, land animal, and moves through the underworld in the Sektet boat, the night boat of the sun. They switch boats. They get off the first boat, get into another boat, and they sail in the underworld and bring light and illumination to the underworld and the spirits in the underworld and so forth. And he, in this context, instead of just being called Ra, he's called Afu Ra. Ra within the Afu of the flesh and so forth. He's Afura, and this is the root of Afuraka, the land ka of Afura, the creator, and Ra'ed is the land of the creatress. But when he sails in the underworld for the 12 hours of the night, when he gets back to the eastern horizon, right the hour before sunrise, he gets out of that boat, he transforms back into the falcon, gets back into the day boat, and then comes from the underworld at sunrise and rises at the eastern horizon and goes back up in the sky in the form of a falcon-headed divinity, and he's Ra once again. Goes from Ra to Afura and back to Ra. And just so you can see the image, and when we talk about Ra'et, the creatress of the universe, the counterpart of Ra, this is her. So that notion of Rir, meaning backward again and going back around when the sun rises in the east, sets in the west, goes into the underworld and goes all the way back around, Rir, back to the beginning. That's the origin cosmologically of Rir, meaning, or R-E-R, Rir, meaning back, to go back, to turn back around, go back around, and so forth. Now, you don't get all of that cosmology from reading a book that says religion, re just means back or again. But they can't tell you why R and E, like we said before, re, those sounds together mean back or again, or to turn around or go back to the original place. They can't tell you why, because they stole the term from a whole cosmology rooted in our ancestral religion that they have no knowledge of. Now, spirit. Those who are in this image take the towing rope of the boat of Ra. When he comes forth, the term per means to come forth from the serpent Ankh-Ntoru, and they tow this great deity in his boat into the sky and lead him along the ways of the upper sky. It is they who make to arise the sky in the sky gentle winds and humid breezes, and it is they who order those who live upon earth to place themselves in the great boat in the sky. Shat Nduat, the 12th hour of the night, the book of what is in the spirit realm. Show you an image from the 12th hour of the night that they're talking about in that particular text. Let me show you that image right quick. So the specific text that they're talking about is right here. So this is another drawing. This is a drawing of Afra in his ram-headed form and so forth. And he's sailing in the boat of the underworld. And there are 12 hours of the night. And in every hour, there are different spirits that he comes in contact with as he's sailing through. But in the 12th hour of the night, which is like coming into dawn, the last hour of the night, the last hour of darkness, right before the sun rises, he's at the final place in the underworld, right near the eastern horizon. He's going to go to the eastern horizon and then go back up in the sky. He's in the boat, and you see this little rope is being pulled by a number of deities. So then they show the deities who are pulling the boat, and they're going to pull it up into the sky, as the text says. It was attached to these divinities right here, and they're going to pull him through, and they're pulling the boat of Ra. That's what that text that we just read is talking about. In the 12th hour of the night, he's being pulled, his boat is being pulled, it's going to be pulled up into the sky. Now, so those who are in this image take the towing rope. We just saw that towing rope of the boat of Ra. When he comes forth, when he comes forth from the serpent Ntoru, and they tow this great deity into the sky and lead him along the ways of the upper sky. It is those deities who make to arise in the sky the gentle winds and humid breezes, and it is they who order those who live upon earth to place themselves in the great boat of the sky. 12th hour of the night, or the Duat, which is the Shat-im Duat, the book of the Duat, or the spirit realm, that's who's pulling the boat. Now this spells Separ, and it's the root of Seperet, and in English becomes spirit. Now, let's show why the term per and Separ and Seperet is the origin of the term spirit, and why the whites in our offspring have no knowledge of this cosmology. They just know the term Seperet means spirit, and they don't know why. So we said Ra is the name of the divinity, the Ntoro, who's the creator of the world, and Ra'et is the Ntoro, the deity, the goddess, who's the creatress of the world. We just showed that Ra and Ra'et are the great spirit, animating the black substance of space, stars, planets, suns, moons, and so forth. Let's show a quick image of them. I want you to see an image of them together so you have an understanding of who Ra and Ra'et are. We showed them separately in the other book, but okay, so this is the front cover of another one of the books I published, Ra, Yonkumpon and Yonkunton, in the Akan language of Ghana and Ivory Coast. The creator is called Yonkumpon, that is a title of Ra. The creatress is called Yonkunton, that is Ra'et. So this book that I wrote, I was just proving that Ra and Ra'et are Yonkumpon and Yonkunton in the Akan language. But just so you can see Ra and Ra'et, the creator and creatress together, as we said earlier, they are grandchildren of the supreme being Amen and Amenet, and they work under the direction of Amen and Amenet to create the universe. So this is Ra and Ra'et together. Now, they are the great spirit. Now let's switch back. And it's important to note that they are the spirit, the great spirit, so you can understand what the word spirit actually means. So we say Ra is the creator of the world, Ra'et is the creatress of the world, the divine living energy that permeates and animates all of creation and all created entities, just like the solar energy you breathe in and your body fills up with, solar fire energy that animates you and vitalizes you. They are the divine living energy that permeates all of creation, planets, suns, moons, stars, and bathes all of creation with their divine living animate vital force. That is Ra and Ra'et, the creator and creatress. Now, in that other book, as we say here, in Yonkumpon and Yonkunton in the Akan language, Odumare and Oshumare in the Yoruba language, Da and Aidakwedo in the Ewe language and Vodun or Voodoo and so forth. So we just show that the different cultures of our people, we all have a name for the creator and creatress. We all have a name for the great divine spirit of creation, Ra and Ra'at, in our own languages. Now, as an animate force that animates all things, they are called the Great Ba and the Great Ba'et, the divine living energy or spirit animating all created things. Ba and Ba'et, you see this bird with the head of the male and the bird with the head of the female. That is the spirit of the person, the spirit of the male, spirit of the female. In this mural, this is the man and woman who transitioned, but this is the man and the woman, and this is the spirit of the man and the spirit of the woman. The spirit is shown as a bird often with a bowl of burning incense with a flame arising, showing it's an animate fire, an animate fiery energy that dwells within you. So the winged aspect represents animation, and the bowl of burning incense, and sometimes the solar disk represents the fire. So you have an animate fire moving through you right now. That animating fire within you is your divine living energy. That is your spirit. It is called Ba, the animate force within you for males, and Ba'et, the animate force within you for females. In English, instead of saying the animate force, divine living energy that animates you and all that, instead of saying all of that, we say that's your Ba, that's your spirit. And if you're a female, that's your Ba'et, that's your spirit. So this is the Ba and Ba'et, the spirit of the man, spirit of the woman. This is how it's spelled in the language of Kamit. It's a bird, and then a bowl of burning incense with a little flame rising up. So that's how you spell it in the language of Kamit. Instead of writing simply the symbol for the B and the A, you can just show the picture of the bird and the bowl of burning incense. Ba, an animate or winged, that's the bird, fire, bowl of burning incense. So you have a winged or animating fire that allows you to function and be animate and operate in the world. That's your Ba, that's your spirit, or Ba'et. Now, the life force energy. And it's a portion of the divine living energy of Ra and Ra'at. Now, when the Aten or the sun rises in the east, it's a coming forth and emergence of the solar orb and the fire energy of the orb. It is a rebirth or a return. It is an explosion of energy, fire and light, akin to the first emergence of Ra and Ra'at, exploding from the black substance of space at the beginning of creation. Once the explosion of energy manifests, the energy is radiated throughout the black substance of space, just as the energy of the morning sun bursts through the horizon and radiates across the land, bringing warmth, illumination, and revivification. So what we're saying is, at sunrise, as the sun peaks above the horizon, so it's dark, of course, but when Ra in the boat of the Aten, the sun, goes up into the sky, when the sun just rises above the horizon, first there's an explosion of energy. The light obliterates the darkness. So it's an explosion. And once there's an explosion of energy, then the solar light radiates across the landscape and shoots all the way across the landscape. So you have the explosion first, and then the radiation, the pop, and then the radiation. Now, the term pair, and that also, that reflects the first, expression of light increase in the first time that Ra and Ra'at exploded with the black substance of space to become the first fire and light in the universe. began spiraling through the universe and carving out with their fire black spheres. That black substance in space is an energy substance. They started carving out black spheres, and their divine living energy penetrated those black spheres and illuminated them. Those became the first stars, and the planets emerged from them. In our cosmology in ancient Kamit, we talk about how Ra and Ra'at emerged from the darkness, exploded into the first fire and light, and radiated their light energy through the black substance, carving out black spheres, creating the first black bodies, illuminating those first black bodies to give off black body radiation or solar light. And those were the first stars, and eventually planets came from that. The same cosmology that we talk about in the texts of ancient Kamit is repeated in quantum physics and astrophysics and so forth. They just have a different nomenclature, but they're explaining the same process from dark energy and dark matter, which in ancient Kamit is called Ka and Ka'et, the male and female deity Ka and Ka'et. Now in astrophysics and so forth, it's called dark energy and dark matter. And the first explosion of light, when Ra and Ra'at are said to explode from the Nun and Nonet to become the first fire and light in the universe, the whites and their offspring call that the Big Bang and so forth. So everything that we say in our ancient texts, they just repeat that. So the term per, the root of seperet or spirit, per in the language of ancient Kamit means to come forth. The noun form is peret, means that which has come forth. So we're going to break down the origin of the term spirit or seperet, and the root is per or peret. Per, to come forth. And you see the two legs walking out. This is like the little house structure with the opening space. That's the per symbol. And then the R symbol, the open mouth. But you have the two legs walking, per, to come forth, to come out, to go out, to go forth, per. And then peret with a T, that which has come forth, that which has come out, and so forth. So you have the verb and the noun version, per and peret. Exit, issue, what comes forth, manifestation, outbreak of fire, offspring, but that which has come forth. Now, per, you also see the little horned viper serpent coming out of the hole and so forth, coming out per. Now, not only do we have seperet, per, meaning to come forth, the p sound and the r sound, but even vocally, which is important. The p sound is the p, that's the explosion, pa, explosive. In order to say p, you have to fill up your mouth with air, and once you release it, pa, that's an explosive force. And then the R is the ra, that's the radiant. So explosion, pa, and ra, radiation. P and R together is explosion and radiation. When the sun rises, there's an explosion of light, and then it radiates, that's the pa, and then it radiates across the landscape, ra. So pa and ra is par or per. That means to come forth. It's a description of meaning to come forth, but that's what's actually happening when you release those sound vibrations, pa and ra together. If you were to attune to the explosion of light, when you hear an explosion, it's a pop. That's why we say the word pop, because that's what it sounds like when an explosion takes place, pop. And then ra, p and r together. This is why the term is structured in that fashion. We are simply repeating the sounds of what happens when there's an explosion and a radiation. Pa and ra. That's the root of per, and we'll show how separ and seperet come out of that. But per is explosion and radiation. When you have the ra sound, when it radiates, ra, and then when you cut it off, ra, that's the cut off. So that's the pa, ra, ta, or parat or peret. That's where you get peret from. It's literally the sound that's explosion and so forth. Now, explosion and radiation. And we show also in the Akan language, pere, meaning to walk around and all of that. And we also show some of the Medut, like the horned viper is the F sound in ancient Kemet. And when you turn the horned viper right side up, it's literally the English, letter F. And we've shown in other publications that the entire alphabet is stolen directly from the Medutu, the hieroglyphs of ancient Kemet, and so forth, as well as the numeral system. So the Europeans didn't create the numeral system 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They didn't create the alphabetical characters A through Z. They stole all of that from our text. Now, so we were just showing some of that linguistic information in that portion. So this is Ra and Ra'at, the creator and creatress, the solar disk on both of their heads and so forth. They're the force that animates the sun and the stars and so forth. So they are this great spirit, that explosive energy is where it comes from. Now, in the language of Kemet, the two different Medutu or symbols, hieroglyphic symbols for the S sound, you have the bolt, which is horizontal. You see the horizontal bolt right here. And then you see the fold of cloth, which is the vertical S. So, and just so you can see, so we were showing in that last frame, Ra and Ra'at, solar disk on the head, Pa, Ra, Par, or pair, the explosive and radiant force that emerges from them, they cause the pair to happen. Now we get to the S sound. For Separ, Seperet, you have the horizontal S, the bolt. Then you have the vertical S, which is a fold of cloth. In the language of Kemet, hold on one second. In the language of Kemet, the S sound, sa, is used linguistically as a causative. When you have sa, it means it's causing something to happen. So, they cause something to take place. Thus, pair, to come forth. When you put the S in front of it, se, pair, it means to make or to cause something to come forth. One is to come forth, one is to cause something to come forth. Pair, to come forth, go out. And when you put the S device, linguistic device in front, separ, to make to come forth. Pair and separ. Same house structure with the ovular structure for the open mouth, pair. Same house structure with the open mouth for pair and the two legs walking, coming out, pair. But then you put the S in front of it, separ. This is another version, separ. Separ, to make to come forth. What is being made to come forth? If you're using the term separ, which becomes seperet, what are you making to come forth? What are you causing to come forth in this context? What does that mean? You're making to come forth divine living energy of Ra and Ra'at. That divine solar fire energy, not only at the beginning of creation when they were caused to come forth, and it was Amen and Amenet that sent Ra and Ra'at out to explode in the black substance and to come forward and begin to create the universe. But every day at sunrise, when the sun rises, first there's darkness, and then Ra and Ra'at calls the sun to rise up and come forth, and there's an explosion, pa, and then a radiation of light across the landscape, Ra. So para or pair happens every time sunrise happens. Pa, explosion, Ra, radiation, and it is Ra and Ra'at, the divine living energy, the creator and creatress, that causes sa, the pair, explosion and radiation to happen. So, this is the cosmology of spirit. What is being made to come forth? The divine living energy of Ra and Ra'et. Through ritual provocation, we invoke the deities, spirit possession, and ancestral spirits to come forth, to possess, to communicate, heal, guide, and instruct. This is why Separ also means entreaty, supplication, and prayers. Seperet, prayer, petition, request. Seperu, that's plural, petitions, prayers, plural. The U at the end of words in ancient Kamit is the plural, just like we have S in English for the plural. In ancient Kamit, the U, written usually as either a U or a W, is the plural. So prayer, petition, request, the singular, Separ. Prayers, petitions, requests, plural is Seperu. So, but Separ, to ask, to pray, to entreat. What do you see right here? The man, once again, in the ritual provocation or prayer pose, provoking or projecting energy to the spirits so they can respond by directing energy to the individual. So, what are you causing to come forth? Separ, to come forth, per, what's coming forth, the divine living energy of the Creator and Creatress. That's why when we talk about ritual invocation, ritual evocation, ritual provocation, we're engaged in Separ. We're doing this, we're provoking the energy, provoking our energy. Just like speaking, you release the sound vibrations, they travel across space, hit someone's eardrums, cause them to oscillate, it's transformed into meaning, and then they respond to you. When we engage in ritual provocation, we project our energy to the ancestral spirits, and then that provocation causes them to respond by releasing energy or dispensing energy to us. The same with the deities. So Separ, to cause something to come forth, we're trying to provoke the energy of a divinity or an ancestral spirit so that energy from them will come forth and get to us. So just like Ra and Ra'et causes the sun to go up into the horizon, Separ causes it to come forth from the underworld, causes the explosion of fire and light and the radiation of it to illuminate the entire landscape and illuminate and vitalize the people and energize the people in the morning and so forth, our people, just like they cause that to come forth, Separ or Seperet. When we engage in ritual invocation, Seperet, we're provoking the energy of the Creator and Creatress so that their energy can be made to come forth, Seperet. The cosmology of spirit. So, and then we give a little the differences between the B sound and the P sound. And B is the, opening of energy, but the P is the more explosive and so forth. So that's just some detailed information. But the explosive energy of per to come forth in its noun form, peret, that which has come forth, is connected to the energy of the great spirit, the great Babayat, the great spirit, the Creator and Creatress, Ra and Ra'et, animating the Aten, the sun. And therefore, we find that the term per also has related meanings, referencing the rising of the Aten, the sun, to splendor, to shine, the coming forth of a heavenly body or deity, that which has come forth, producing grains in connection with the revivifying energy of Ra and Ra'et, animating the Aten, the sun. So it's further proof, per, to rise of the sun, per, splendor, to shine, per, the appearance of a heavenly body, peret, the great appearance. Grain, corn, wheat, produce, that which comes forth from the ground, comes up and explodes through the surface and manifests in the world and so forth. So per, to come forth, seperet, to cause something to come forth, related to the sun, the solar disk, fire, light, divine living energy, produce, coming forth, and all of that. Now, that's the cosmological foundation of per, to come forth, and separ, to cause to come forth, being tied to separ, to pray, evoke, and invoke the deities and ancestral spirits, the cosmological and etymological foundation of the term spirit, or seperet. Now having all of that, what do the whites and offspring say is the origin of the term spirit? They can't give you the real definition because they stole it from our ancestral culture and they don't know the cosmology and the cosmological foundation of spirit and the names of these deities and their functions in creation, their relationship to one another. But they know that spirit has something to do with, animation. That's all they got. So let's see what they have to say about that. Spirit, animating or vital principle in man and animals. From the Anglo-French spirit, esperet, and so forth. A breathing, respiration of the wind, breath of a god, hence inspiration, breath of life, hence life, also disposition, character, high spirit, vigor, and all that. From the Proto-Indo-European root, meaning P-I-E, sepai, to blow, like to play a flute and so forth. Meaning supernatural, immaterial creature, angel, and all of that. But you saw the Proto-Indo-European root, sepai, to blow. And then they keep going, according to Barnhart, originally in English, mainly from passages in Vulgate, where the Latin word translates Greek pneuma and Hebrew ruach. Distinction between soul and spirit as seat of emotions became current in Christian terminology. They really don't know the difference between the soul and the spirit because they stole the terms from our people. Then you have the related term spire, like inspiration, spire, all of that. Hold on a second. Spire, a sprout, shoot, spike, blade, tapering stalk of grass, something that came forth. We just said per, to come forth, separ, to cause something to come forth, also meant grains and produce and so forth. Spire, a sprout, shoot, spike, blade, stalk, slender tree. Proto-Indo-European root, spy, a sharp point. See, spike and spike, nail, and so forth. Proto-Indo-European root, spy, a sharp point. Latin spica or spica, ear of corn, and all of that. So they're putting together the sounds pi and sepai. As you can see, the Proto-Indo-European root sepai, meaning to blow. Pi means blow, while sepai means to cause to blow. Where'd they get this idea that the S in front of a word means to cause something to happen? Pi, to blow. Sepai, to cause to blow. Where'd they get that from? They stole that from our language. But you see, in any etymological dictionary, they're not going to show that the origin comes from ancient Kamit. They're just going to say it's a Proto-Indo-European root, and that's it. Now, in reality, the direct cognates, and even go a little bit further, cause to blow. This is directly derived from S being the causative factor. They're not going to prove that, so they say related to spirare, to breathe, perhaps from the PIE, sepai, to blow. But Devon says possibly an onomatopoetic formation imitating the sound of breathing. There are no direct cognates. When they say no direct cognates, they can't find the same term in an ancient language. It's not directly cognate. They're lying, of course, because it's directly cognate and it comes directly from the language of Kamit, 100%. That's just the racism in the linguistic, community. When people are teaching linguistics in universities and so forth, they're still engaged in racism and lying about the origins, just like they lie about the origins of the people of Kamit, saying they're the white Arabs who are there now. They pretend like those are the original Egyptians. They're still lying about that. They're still lying about the language itself, saying it comes from Europe, as opposed to telling the truth that it comes from us. What comes forth from the mouth is not only speech, sound vibrations, but also breath. Per, seper, to come forth. The breath, and inside the breath is the fire, solar energy, and so forth. When you breathe in air, but you also breathe in that solar fire. Per and seper reference both functions of speech and breath. Thus, inspire, expire, aspire, are related to that which is coming forth from the individual, whether it be ideas, emotions, breath, sound, or energy. The same is true of the eyes, which take the similar shape of the open mouth in the medutu, which comes forth and goes forth into the eyes, affects the emotions, emotional output, and so forth. Per, to see, sight, vision, aspect. You see the eye symbol, but also the open mouth. Energy comes out the eyes, energy comes out the mouth. The eye is shaped like this. The mouth is shaped similar to the eye. Breath, sound, energy comes from the mouth. Energy comes from the eyes as well. And there you have per, to see, sight, vision, what comes forth from the eyes, and so forth. Just like per, what comes forth from the mouth is the breath. What comes forth from the spirit, per, divine living energy. You'll also see that the term per is the root of the English term peer, to peer into something, to look into something, peer. And so we have the symbol of the eye for peer, to see, pera, to see. That which comes forth, per, from the eye, sight. The energy of per moving through the open mouth, midut, signifies a circular, cylindrical, turning energy. Thus, the meaning of per and separ, to go out, come in, come around, to cause to go out, go forth, come in, come around, with the determinative medut of the walking legs. We thus have the cosmological connection to the etymology, which the whites and their offspring are unable to detect. So pi and sepai, to blow, fizz. And we show all of the reflexes in Proto-Indo-European. We show all of that. You get that from an etymological dictionary. So you see the Old English, Middle English, English, and so forth. West Germanic, Middle High German, North Germanic, Italic, spiritus, spiral, spirare, Old French, spirit, breath, soul, spirit, to blow, breathe, spirit, to inspire, all of that. Spare, the etymon, to turn, to wind, that's separ, to wind and return, go back. And then you have the hold on a second. Spira, coil, spiral, the Indo-European reflexes, esparto, spire, spiral, spirale, spartum, all of that spiraling energy, the coiling, returning energy, and all of that. So we just show all those Indo-European reflexes. The University of Texas, they have the Proto-Indo-European, lexicon and so forth. So to sum all of that up, as we can see, sepai being referenced as the root of spirare, and spirit comes directly from separ, to make it come forth, not only of breath and air, but also of the ba, the spirit, the divine living energy, the fire energy. The relationship of the spire, the spike, that which rises up, comes forth, a spire or a spike, a sharp point, a tall, slender tree. From the Proto-Indo-European root sepai is directly derived from per to separ, referencing grains, produce that comes forth from, penetrates, pierces the soil as a spike or spire to emerge under the light of the Aten, the sun. And the Proto-Indo-European term spare, to turn, turn around, spiral, is directly derived from separ, meaning to cause to come forth, come back around. Two legs walking that are returning back, going back to the underworld and coming back to the world of the living and so forth at sunrise. This is why separ also means to arrive at a place to come. To arrive at a place to come, separ. And you see the symbol here of the moon, as well as the boat of the sun and so forth. And you have the new moon returning from new moon to full and back to, new moon and so forth. Moreover, we have the name of an Ntorot, goddess of dawn, one of the 12 goddesses who tow the boat of Ra as he emerges, is born, returns, come forth, paired into the eastern horizon, eastern sky at the rising of the Aten. And she's called Speret Ntores, a wind goddess of dawn, one of the 12 goddesses who towed the boat of Af, meaning Afura, into the eastern sky. So why is that important? We showed an image of the deities towing the boat and so forth. So Seperet is at the 12th hour of the night. That's the time of the night where it's going from night to the dawn. And the night, the darkness is about to be lifted in the 12th hour. And the boat of the sun in the underworld is being pulled by a bunch of deities, including this goddess Seperet, pulling that boat, pulling it from the underworld and pulling it into the eastern horizon. So the wind goddess of dawn, the wind, the breath, Seperet, that which comes forth. She's pulling the boat of Afura into the eastern horizon. So he transforms from Afura back into Ra and goes up into the sky, and the sun explodes above the horizon. There's an explosion of light. It dissipates the darkness and so forth and disperses the darkness. And there's an explosion, Pa, radiation of light, Ra, Separ, and so forth. And that is affected by the deity Seperet, or the deity spirit. Spirit is the name of a deity, Seperet, the spirit, who's right in position to cause the explosion, Pa, radiation, Ra, manifestation of light. And she's the wind goddess, meaning the breath or the wind goddess, breathing, spirit, fire and light, spirit, Seperet, and so forth. And that is what we wanted to share. And I want to show you another image. So that's the etymological origin of religion, the etymological origin of spirit, the cosmological origin of religion, the cosmological origin of spirit. So when we talk about religion and spirituality, they're identical in real religion. It's fake religions like Christianity and Islam and Judaism and Hinduism, Taoism, Buddhism, and so forth. That's where there's an incongruity between religion and spirit. When we talk about religion, to retie, to rebind, to reconnect, spirit mediums, the Rekitu, re-lig or re-rig, re-lek and re-rek and so forth, to rebind and tie yourself to these spirits that allow you to commune with the divinities and so forth, the forces in creation. And Seperet, Seperet, to cause the coming forth of the divinities. When you cause something to come forth, when you're talking about Ra and Riot coming forth, the great spirit coming forth, the great Bambat coming forth at dawn and so forth, or the coming forth of a spirit to possess and come into the community and possess the person, that's Seperet, causing something to come forth. The Seperet to ritual invocation, ritual prayer, ritual supplication, entreat. Seperet to provoke the spirit to come forth and possess. Seperet to cause something to come forth, what you're causing to come forth, the spirit to take up residence in the individual who becomes a medium spirit, medium rekhit, rekhitu, and so forth. That's the relationship between Seperet, causing the spirit to come forth, and rekhet, to become bound or possessed by the spirit itself. So there's no conflict between religion, religion, and Seperet and spirit. Only in the fake religions do you have some conflict. So they've been lying about the origin of the term religion, lying about the origin of the term spirit, and even the people who are believing they're doing something, they're trying to sound deep by saying, well, I'm not into organized religion. I'm into spirituality. And there's a difference between religion and spirituality. It just proves they don't know anything about the origins of these terms or the cosmology that gave birth to these terms. Okay, so question. No, Christianity and Islam are not Kemetic at all. That's 100% false. Total fraud. And just to give you an example of that, because that's another misnomer that's being promoted in our community. And we did a book on the origins of these fake religions. Our book, Kuku Tuntun, the Ancestral Jurisdiction, showing how these fake characters were manufactured. That includes Jesus and Muhammad and Moses and Abraham, Isaac, Ishmael, Solomon, Sheba, Menelik, David, Buddha, Brahman, and so forth. Book is free, so you can download the whole thing or just show you a few things right here. Now, some people are aware that Heru, son of Asar and Aset, as you can see, this is Asar, this is Aset, this is Heru. Aset giving birth to Heru, virgin birth and so forth. One of her titles is Merit. That's where they get married. She gives birth to Heru. But there's another divinity, Khensu Neferhetep Heru, who is right here, the son of Aben and Mut. He looks very similar because he's a falcon-headed divinity to Heru, son of Asar and Aset. But Khensu Neferhetep Heru is a different Heru divinity. Those are two. He operates through the moon. The other Heru divinity is connected to the sun and the core of earth and so forth. In his human form here is Khensu. His full name, Khensu Neferhetep Heru. Khensu is the one who is corrupted into Khensu and Yesu and Yeshua and Jesus and Jesus and Jesus and so forth. Khensu is part of the triad of Amen, Mut, and Khensu. Amen, the great God, Mut, the mother, and Khensu, the child. And they took the cosmology of Khensu, where he's a healer and casts out demons and, resurrects the spirits of the dead and all of that. And the divinity Heru, son of Asar and Aset. Heru, born of a virgin, Aset, Merit, killed and resurrected and so forth. And the Redeemer and Savior of the world, they stole his whole cosmology, as well as Khensu Neferhetep Heru, and made the fictional Jesus character. So we show that, go into some detail about that. When you look at the divinity of the Nile River, Hapi, there's actually two of them. There's Hapi of the north, Hap-Met, and Hapi of the south. And Munu-Hap is the waters Mu of Hap. So you have Munu-Hap, Hap-Met, the waters of the northern Nile, Hap-Reset, waters of the southern Nile. When you go to Apet Asedu, so-called Karnak, and when you're first walking in, we have images of that. You have Hap-Met and Hap-Reset. These are the two male divinities, twin divinities of the Nile River. The word for water in ancient Kamit is Mu. This is why you have Munu-Hap, the water of Hap. So which Hap? Is it Hap of the north or Hap of the south? When the whites and their offspring invaded northern Kamit and took control of northern Kamit, they were familiar with Hap-Met, the Hapi of the north. Met means north, Reset means south. So Muhap-Met is the waters Mu of Hap-Met, the spirit that animates the north. So the energy in the water, the spiritual force in the water is Hap. The water is Ateru and so forth, and the term for water is Mu. But Mu Hap-Met is the waters Mu of Hap-Met, the northern Nile. Mu Hap-Reset is the waters Mu of Hap-Reset, the southern Nile. This is Mu Hap-Met, this is Mu Hap-Reset. Mu Hap-Met was corrupted into Muhammad, and that is the divinity of the northern Nile. Muhammad is a fictional cartoon character who never existed, 100% fraud. Islam is fraudulent nonsense from top to bottom. There's nothing Kemetic about it at all. And the same thing with Christianity and Islam and Judaism. So when people read our book, Kuku Tuntun, the Ancestral Jurisdiction, we show how these characters were manufactured. Corrupted forms of deities from ancient Kemet that includes Abraham, Isaac, Ishmael, Moses, Aaron, David, Solomon, all these various characters. Same thing with Muhammad, same thing with the Quran, and same thing with Buddhism and all of that. So, and the books, you can download the books for free. All 31 books are for free. Now, okay, so just want to check if you have any comments in the chat room. So as someone who has been studying the root words of Proto-Indo-European words, I can understand what you're saying. I'm sure this goes above most people's heads. But the thing is, we just typically don't look into it. Like the average person, if someone says, this is the origin of the term, if they look in a dictionary and says, well, this word comes from the Greek term, this Greek term, and then Latin, and then maybe even Sanskrit or Proto-Germanic or Tocharian or something like that, then they'll just stop right there and say, oh, well, that's must be where it comes from. But they never took the step to say, well, maybe they're not telling the truth. And then when we look in our ancient language, looking in the Total Hieroglyphic Dictionary, the way we confirm what's, the translations, of course, you can learn to read and write the Medutan Total, the hieroglyphic language, and so forth. And we have, of course, parts 1 and 2 of the reading and writing of the Medutan Total. But we still speak the living languages. So you can take a hieroglyphic dictionary and put it side by side with the Akan tree dictionary of Ghana and Ivory Coast, the Akan people of Ghana and Ivory Coast, and you find the same words, same meanings, same deities, same functions in creation. And we've done that throughout these 30 plus books that we've published, and we've been doing that for over 20 years. So, and it's not just the Akan language. You can do the same thing with the Yoruba language, Ewe language, and various languages across the continent. You'll find the same words with the same meanings, with the same deities, the same functions in creation in the living languages and cultures of our people today, still practicing this ancient religion, still invoking these same deities today within the same language as you find in ancient Kamit. And let me give you an example of that. Hold on one second. So this is just a real quick example. This is a short article that we published as part of a larger work, but Akan vocalizations of our ancestral language of Kamit. So, for example, the term kes, and in the old dictionaries, they would stick an E in between consonants if they were not sure what the vowel placement was. But the bow with the lip is the k sound, the K sound, and the bolt that we saw earlier is the S sound, so KS. They didn't know if it was kes or kas or kiski or whatever. But to chatter foolishly to jest, if you look in the Akan language today, kasa, to talk much noisily, to chatter, same word, and we have the proper vowel placement, the proper vocalization. So it's not kes, it's kasa, and we say this word every day in our Akan language. You have him, to roar, to bellow, a cry, a war, roar, a battle cry, and so forth. Him is really HM. They don't know the vowel placement you see in Coptic right here with the, hold on one second. You'll see here the HM in the Coptic dialect. Well, hama, in Akan, boisterous. Example, epo, ye hama, the sea rages as agitated by a storm and so forth. Roar, raging and so forth. Hama, that's him in ancient Kamit, same term. You have ka as well as kai, to think out, to meditate, speak, to repeat, to say, to cry out, call out, tell out. That is in the language of Kamit. In Akan, ka, to emit a sound, to utter, speak, say, tell. Same term, same meaning. Sha or shai, as well as shay, to fix, to appoint, to decide, to determine, to predestinate, to ordain, to decree. She. In Akan, the HY combination is she, so there's she. To fix, to set up, institute. You also have to set, constitute, appoint, to decree, and also importantly, to predestine, predestinate, appoint, ordain beforehand. And that has to do with religious ritual practice, to decree, to predestinate, and so forth. So the same term, she, to fix, appoint, predestinate, to order, to decree, ordain. You have the same thing in she and Akan. Ari, which is the term for eye, to turn a glance at something. An or ani, arit. You have ani or inni. The eye or eyes are also a look in Akan. You have bon, to be evil, to be wicked in ancient Kamit. Bon. You have bani in Akan, bad, evil, wicked. So, and then ma, to grant, to give. And then in Akan, ma, to give, to hand, communicate, bestow, to impart, to grant. So, as you can see, and you can do that with hundreds of words, thousands of words, and we've already done that. This is part of a Akan and Kamit concise comparative dictionary that we're working on. So we can use the languages that we still speak, because we never stop speaking the languages, to prove what these words mean. We don't have to rely on Europeans who claim to have deciphered the language, which they didn't. The people who still live in Kamit, and when we've traveled to Kamit, the Black people still mainly live in the South. They live all over the country, but larger population in the South, they never stopped speaking the language. So it was never indecipherable. Europeans pretending like nobody spoke the language in 2,000 years until we came and deciphered it. They simply asked the people right there on the ground, what do these words mean? And they told them, and they went and claimed that they deciphered the language. But they never stopped speaking the language. And when we migrated from Kamit, some of our people left, some stayed. We continued to speak the language, to continue to worship the same divinities by the same names. And this is why Akan people, Yoruba people, Igbo people, Basa people, Fula people, Fang people still worship the same deities by the same names that you find in ancient Kamit in their languages today. So, all right. Okay, if there are any questions, of course, you can post them in the chat room. Let me see. Just wanted to share this. Hold on a second. Okay, so as we said earlier, one of the reasons we decided to go into some detail, because we're teaching our certification course, the Susu course. The ancient term Susu is the term for meditation from the original cultural ancestral context. And we even show the term meditation and meditate from the root med, stolen from ancient Kamit as well, meaning to measure and so forth. But people need to understand when they're talking about meditation, I'm talking about Susu, the differences between and how it's congruous religion and spirituality when you have the proper definitions and proper understanding. Now, so we have our upcoming course, the Susu Meditation Instructor Certification. You can become certified as an instructor, and what you will receive, let me just show you this. So what after going through the training and so forth, let me show you this image. So you receive the certification, and once you receive this certification, then you can utilize that as a credential to go to different, as we said, schools, after school programs, places of employment, when they bring people out to, they'll have workshops where they're enhancing productivity at work and so forth for their employees, reducing stress, reducing anxiety, which enhances workflow and productivity. And they'll have somebody come out and teach or conduct a meditation session. They typically pay people $100, $200, $300 to conduct like a 30-minute, meditation session where you do an introductory piece, take people through a meditation for 10 or 15 minutes, and then have question and answer and some, dialogue and so forth. So most places pay that, whether you do it at a place of employment or a school for youth, or, employment with adults, or colleges, or a cultural organization, community organization, a community event. Like if someone has a lecture, or, they're having some event like a Kwanzaa event or a Black August event, and they have speakers and so forth, and drummers and dancers, but they may, and vendors, but they may have a section in the beginning where they want everybody to get on the same accord. So they have someone come out and teach Susu meditation. They have money set aside for that. Well, they'll pay somebody a couple $100s to come out and do that. Or women's shelters, human services organizations that have people come out. Social workers, for example, when they get trained, they incorporate things like, Native American medicine wheels in their training, and other things, meditative practices to utilize with their clients, in schools to enhance, learning outcomes and so forth. So there are a number of different applications that people are starting to use all across the board, and they have money set aside to bring people out. And the reason we're doing this is because people asked us, do we have a certification? They didn't like to have to go somewhere else to get certified, spend like more money, like $1,000 or something, getting some certification from someone teaching some form of Hinduism or some Eurocentric New Age kind of meditation. And they have to pay them just to get that certification so they can use it for self-employment. So people were asking us for a number of years. We've been teaching Susu meditation for over 20 years, been practicing it for over 30, but teaching it for 20. So we decided to go ahead and have the certification option. So the next course is August 5th. So if you'd like to take that course, it begins August 5th. You can register now. We have a split payment down deposit option if you would like to do that. And we also have a referral fee that you can receive, a $100 referral fee if you refer the course to someone and they register. Let me just show you that information. We did a broadcast recently dealing with that, but this is the flyer for that particular broadcast that we did. And that, of course, is on this channel, so you'll see that on the channel. So we just did that last week. So you see, that was the Heteru Nehesido Nkoso term. So we did a broadcast talking about that female divinity, the form of Heteru, who's called Nehesido, really Nkoso, and the connotations dealing with that. But we also talked about receiving $100 for a referral. So if you refer the course to someone, so whether you take the course or if you're not ready to take the course now, but you know people who are interested in self-employment and they would like to, they can take a 4-week course and get that credential and use it to generate funds for themselves. Some people, they'll set up a teaching at a school on Monday, a place of employment on Tuesday, a human services organization on Wednesday, another school on Thursday. So they basically work an hour per day and make a couple $100 per day, teaching Susu meditation. So if whether you want to take the class now or if you wait, but if you know somebody who's interested in that, if you turn them on to the course, and once they register and pay the registration fee, then we'll PayPal you or Venmo you or Zelle you $100 as a referral fee for, sending the person our way. So it's like in the form of a consultant fee we send you. So that's a way for you to generate funds as well. If you refer one person, you receive $100. If you refer 3 people, you receive $300. So that's another way we seek to empower the community as well. Okay, let me. Okay, paired is like pi and Akan tree to break forth, and pi to pray or prayer. Yes, as a matter of fact, we addressed that in one of our books as well. So let me just show you that particular book. That particular point that you make. So this is one of our books, Kamit, Hena Speret, The Black Nation and Divinity. And we were talking about the symbol of the axe that represents deity in Kamit. And to talk about that, that's, the shrouded figure with the beard, and then the axe representing the Nsoro, the deity. In Kamit, they would say Neter, but it's really pronounced Nsoro, divinity. But we were talking about the term pi, and that axe is, a split or a splitting or creating an incision in the spirit realm and so forth. And in that context, we show the term pi. Let me show that. So that's the sacred axe. And Europeans never understood why the term axe, the symbol for the axe represented divinity. So aku in ancient Kemet, to work in wood and so forth, ku to draw, pull out, but also to cut. Aku, an axe, akuma, and akan is the hatchet or the axe. And then you have the term mpai, as you talked about, invocation or prayer. And the root of mpai is pi, to strike, to smite, and so forth. So that term pi, meaning to strike or smite, you take an axe and then you pi or strike or split something and call it a splitting or a rendering. The reason why the word pi, meaning to strike or split, is also the word for prayer is because the sound vibrations that you release in ritual invocation is a splitting or creates an incision or a splitting, an opening for you to enter into the spirit realm through ritual invocation to communicate with the Odumafo, the ancestral spirits, and the Abosom, the divinities, and also create that opening for them to engage in spirit possession, Seperet, and Religio, religging or re-wrecking, spirit possession, mediumship, and all of that. So yes, that's where that comes from. All right. Okay. All right. So if you have any other questions, you can post them in the chat room. If not, all right. So we are at actually 2 hours, so we can go ahead and end it here. But if you can download all 31 of our books for free, including all the books that we show different segments from here. We also have a number of articles on our website. We show, when you look on our YouTube page, when we show the clip of the Hoodoo film, Akan Ancestral Religion in North America, you can watch that film for free on our page. We released that documentary film, which is our second documentary film. We released that in October, this past October, so it's relatively new. You can check that out on the page. But again, reach out to us and you just let us know when you refer somebody. Either they can let us know that you're the person who referred them, or you can let us know, hey, this person is signing up. So once they register, then we could forward the fee to you. The only stipulation we have, of course, is we only teach our people, Afro-Akaini people, African Black people. Only Black people can take our courses. So we only train our people in Susu and meditation. We're only, certifying our people. So you can only send somebody, only a Black person can take this course. So And that's true of all of our courses. So we're about teaching our people and empowering our people to go out and empower our people. So, all right. Okay. So once again, Yerase, we thank everybody for tuning in. And Yebesha Bio, we will meet again.